You're nothing but a singing monkey, Presley. Always have been, always will be. Jack Warner's words echoed through the Beverly Hills Hotel suite like a slap across Elvis's face. April 14, 1969, the night of the 41st Academy Awards. Elvis stood there in his custom tuxedo, holding the script for Midnight Cowboy, the role that should have been his, the Oscar that should have been his. Instead, Jon Voight was at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, accepting nominations while Elvis was being told he'd never be more than a B-movie joke. What happened in the next 10 minutes would end with the most powerful man in Hollywood, bleeding on Italian marble, Elvis banned from every major studio, and the death of his dream to be taken seriously as an actor. But nobody would ever know the real reason Elvis lost the role. It wasn't his acting that killed his Oscar dreams. It was what Colonel Parker had been hiding in a vault in Las Vegas. To understand how Elvis Presley went from potential Oscar winner to Hollywood pariah in one violent night, we need to go back 6 months. October 1968. Elvis had just finished his NBC comeback special, proving he was still a force to be reckoned with. The leather suit, the raw sexuality, the danger. It reminded Hollywood why Elvis Presley had once been the most exciting man in America. That's when Jerome Hellman, producer of Midnight Cowboy, made the call that could have changed everything. "Elvis, I want you for Joe Buck," Hellman said. "You're perfect, a beautiful country boy destroyed by the city. It's you, it's always been you." Elvis had read the script 3 times already, each time seeing himself more clearly in the naive hustler trying to survive New York. This wasn't another beach movie. This was real cinema, adult, dark, Oscar-worthy. "I'll do it for scale," Elvis said. "I'll do it for free if I have to. This is the role I've been waiting for my whole life." Have you ever wanted something so badly that you could taste it? That's where Elvis was with Midnight Cowboy. He started preparing immediately. Lost 20 pounds, hired Lee Strasberg's protege to coach him in method acting. Practiced the Texas accent until he dreamed in it. For the first time in years he cut back on pills because he wanted his mind clear, his emotions raw. This wasn't going to be Elvis playing Joe Buck. This was going to be Joe Buck, period. The screen test was scheduled for November 15, 1968, at United Artists Studios. Elvis arrived at dawn, completely prepared. No entourage, no Memphis Mafia, just him and the character he'd been living inside for weeks. John Schlesinger, the director, was skeptical. "Show me you're not Elvis," he said. "Show me you can disappear." What happened next became Hollywood legend. Elvis didn't just audition, he transformed. The swagger was replaced with nervous energy, the confidence became desperate need, the king became a nobody, and it was brilliant. "My God," Schlesinger whispered to Hellman. "He's perfect. He's absolutely perfect." The screen test was magic. Elvis playing opposite a young actress reading Sylvia Miles's part, both of them creating something raw and painful and true. When Elvis delivered Joe Buck's breakdown scene, "I ain't a real cowboy, but I'm one hell of a stud," there were tears in Schlesinger's eyes, not because it was sad, but because it was magnificent. Elvis Presley, the joke of Hollywood, had just delivered an Oscar-worthy audition. But Colonel Parker was working behind the scenes, and what he was doing would destroy everything. See, Parker had a problem. He'd been stealing from Elvis for years, but recently, he'd made a catastrophic mistake. He'd gambled away $2.8 million of Elvis's money in Las Vegas, thinking he could win it back. He couldn't. The mob was involved now, specifically Santo Trafficante Jr., who had interesting photos of Parker from his illegal immigrant days. If Elvis did Midnight Cowboy, he'd be in New York for 3 months. Parker couldn't follow, no passport, and without Parker there to control the money, the theft would be discovered. So Parker did what he always did. He sabotaged Elvis's dreams to protect his own secrets. He called Jack Warner, head of Warner Brothers, called Paramount, called Universal. The message was the same. Elvis is unstable. Drug problem, can't insure him. If you hire him for any serious role, I'll pull him from everything else. No more Elvis musicals, no more soundtracks, nothing. It was blackmail, pure and simple, and it worked. November 20th, 1968. Elvis got the call. Jerome Hellman could barely speak. "Elvis, I'm sorry. The studio, they won't insure you. They say you're too much of a risk." Elvis knew immediately what had happened. Parker, always Parker. "What if I put up my own insurance bond?" Elvis asked, desperate. "What if I guarantee the entire production myself?" Hellman was quiet for a long moment. "It's not about the money, Elvis. Forces above my pay grade have made it clear. You're not welcome in serious cinema. I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry." Elvis hung up the phone and destroyed his hotel room. Not in rage, but in grief. He tore up the script page by page, each piece a dream dying. The Memphis Mafia found him 3 hours later, sitting in the wreckage, holding Joe Buck's cowboy hat, the one he'd bought himself for the role. "They'll never let me be anything more than Elvis," he said. I'm in a cage and Parker's the zookeeper. Jon Voight was announced as Joe Buck 2 days later. Elvis sent him a telegram. Wear the hat well, partner. Make us proud. Voight would later say he knew the role should have been Elvis's. I saw his screen test years later. He would have won the Oscar, no question. He was Joe Buck in a way I could only pretend to be. But Elvis wasn't done fighting. He found out about the Academy Awards ceremony, that Midnight Cowboy was nominated for 7 Oscars including Best Picture. He wasn't invited. Parker had made sure of that, but Elvis had a plan. April 14, 1969, the night of the Oscars, Elvis put on his best tuxedo, the one from his wedding, and crashed the most exclusive pre-Oscar party in Hollywood, Jack Warner's private gathering at the Beverly Hills Hotel. The room went silent when Elvis walked in. He wasn't supposed to be there. This was for real stars, serious actors, not singing monkeys who made beach movies. Elvis walked straight to Jack Warner, the man who'd killed his Oscar dreams on Parker's orders. Warner was holding court, champagne in hand, surrounded by yes-men. "Elvis," Warner said with a fake smile, "how nice of you to drop by. Shouldn't you be in Vegas doing your little shows?" That's when Elvis pulled out the script, his annotated copy of Midnight Cowboy. Every margin filled with notes, every line memorized. "You know I was perfect for this role," Elvis said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You all know it, but you killed it. Why? Because Parker told you to? Because you're scared of what I might become if you let me act?" Warner's face went red. "You're embarrassing yourself, Presley. You're a singer, a hip shaker. That's all you've ever been." Elvis laughed, but it was ugly. "No, I'm an actor who's been forced to play Elvis Presley for 15 years. And you know what? I'm done. I'm done being your trained SEAL. Have you ever seen someone realize they've lost everything and decide to burn it all down? That's what happened next." Elvis threw the script in Warner's face. Not hard, but deliberately, dismissively. The pages scattered like dead dreams. Warner, 77 years old and drunk on champagne and power, made a mistake. He grabbed Elvis's wrist. "You trailer trash piece of—" He never finished the sentence. Elvis didn't hit him. Not exactly. He grabbed Warner by his tuxedo lapels and shook him like a rag doll. Just once. But Warner was old, brittle, unprepared. He fell backward, his head cracking against the marble floor. Blood immediately began pooling. The room exploded. Security rushed in. Lawyers appeared from nowhere. Cameras, there were photographers at the party, started flashing. Elvis stood there, looking down at Warner, no regret on his face. "You killed my dreams," he said to the bleeding executive. "All of you did. You kept me in a cage because you were scared of what I could be. Well, congratulations, you win. Elvis the actor is dead. You killed him." The police arrived within minutes. Elvis was arrested, handcuffed in front of Hollywood's elite. As they led him out, he passed John Wayne. "Duke," Elvis said, "they never let you be anything but a cowboy either, did they?" Wayne's response would haunt Hollywood for years. "Difference is, son, I never tried to be anything else. That's why I survived and you won't." The charges were dropped within hours. Warner didn't want the publicity, and Elvis's lawyer had information about Warner's own mob connections. But the damage was done. Elvis was officially blacklisted from Hollywood. Not just discouraged, banned. Every major studio sent the same message. Elvis Presley would never act in a serious film, ever. If he wanted to make movies, it would be girls, 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 or nothing. At the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, Midnight Cowboy was winning Oscar after Oscar, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay. Each announcement was a knife in Elvis's heart. Watching from a jail cell TV, that should have been his night, his vindication, his proof that he was more than a pelvis with a voice. Instead, he was in custody, his acting dreams as dead as his reputation. Colonel Parker bailed Elvis out at 3 a.m. The conversation in the limo was brief but devastating. "You just cost us $10 million in cancelled contracts," Parker said. "No studio will touch you now." Elvis laughed bitterly. "Good, I'm done with their movies anyway." Parker's response revealed everything. "No, boy, you're not done. You're going to make 5 more musicals to pay for tonight. Cheap ones, humiliating ones. You're going to smile and sing and dance like the monkey they think you are. Because if you don't, I'll let them prosecute you for assault. Warner's willing to forget tonight for the right price, your price." The 5 films Elvis made after that night, The Trouble with Girls, Change of Habit, etc., were the worst of his career. Deliberately so. Parker made sure Elvis got the most degrading scripts possible. Punishment for the Oscar night rebellion. Elvis sleepwalked through them, dead behind the eyes, knowing each scene was another nail in the coffin of his artistic ambitions. But the worst punishment came in 1970. Midnight Cowboy won Best Picture, the only X-rated film ever to win the Academy Award. Jon Voight was nominated for Best Actor. At the ceremony, Voight did something unprecedented. During his speech, he said, "This role was meant for someone else, someone who could have brought truth to Joe Buck that I could only approximate. Elvis, if you're watching, this nomination belongs to you too." Elvis was watching. From his hotel room in Vegas, between shows where he dressed like a white jumpsuited caricature of himself, he watched Voight acknowledge what everyone knew. Elvis should have been there, could have been there, would have been there if not for Colonel Parker and Hollywood's fear of letting Elvis be anything more than Elvis. The screen test of Elvis as Joe Buck still exists, locked in United Artists' vault. Those who've seen it speak of it in hushed tones: brilliant, transformative, Oscar-worthy. Martin Scorsese, who viewed it in 1995, said, "It's the greatest tragedy in cinema history. Elvis Presley could have been our Brando. Instead, we made him our clown." That screen test is proof of Hollywood's greatest crime, the murder of an artist. The Beverly Hills Hotel quietly banned Elvis for life, though they never publicized it. The blood stain on the marble floor was replaced, but staff say you can still see the outline on humid nights. Jack Warner recovered, but never spoke of that night. When he died in 1978, a year after Elvis, his private papers revealed the truth. Presley was right. We destroyed him because we were scared of him. A singing Elvis we could control. An acting Elvis would have conquered Hollywood. In his final years, Elvis would sometimes watch Midnight Cowboy alone in his bedroom at Graceland. Linda Thompson found him once, crying as John Voight delivered lines Elvis had memorized. "That's my Oscar, Linda," he said. "They stole my Oscar." She tried to comfort him, but what comfort was there? He was right. They had stolen more than an Oscar. They'd stolen his chance to be remembered as an artist instead of an entertainer. The saddest part came in Elvis's final interview, never published until after his death. The reporter asked about his movies, expecting the usual diplomatic answer. Instead, Elvis was brutally honest. "I made 31 films. 30 of them were shit. The 32nd was never made. That was Midnight Cowboy. That was going to be my Citizen Kane. Instead, I got clambake and a lifetime of regret." April 14th, 1969, wasn't just the night Elvis attacked Jack Warner. It was the night Elvis the actor died. The night Hollywood's cowardice won. The night Colonel Parker's control became absolute. Every pill Elvis took after that was swallowing the rage of stolen dreams. Every jumpsuit was a straitjacket. Every Vegas show was a funeral for the artist he could have been. But in that Beverly Hills hotel suite, for one moment, Elvis fought back. He drew blood from the man who'd helped cage him. It wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. But it was something. A moment when the singing monkey showed his teeth and reminded everyone that beneath the sequins and sideburns was an actor who could have changed cinema history. Instead, he became its greatest cautionary tale. Not of excess or addiction, but of artistic assassination. Elvis didn't die in 1977. He died in 1969, in a Beverly Hills hotel suite, surrounded by the people who'd killed his dreams and preferred him as a profitable corpse rather than a living artist. "You're nothing but a singing monkey, Presley," Jack Warner's words, Hollywood's verdict, history's crime, and Elvis's epitaph as an actor who never got to act, a Joe Buck who never made it to New York, an Oscar winner who never got to compete, the king of rock and roll, forever banned from the kingdom of serious cinema, all because he dared to want more than they were willing to give.